Scegliete la vita.
Music in the scene when Mark comes back to his room, his old room, we see a lot of his vinyls, and we see a David Bowie one, and it's just 1 year that he passed away. So it was an homage to him, to his music.
Yeah. So we thought, I remember thinking, oh God, should we put some of his music in it? And then I thought, no, there'll be lots of that. I'm sure lots of people do that. And also, which one do you pick? So we just had this very silent moment. We took all the noise off the soundtrack. So as he flicks the records, when we originally went into the mix on that, they had realistic sound, as they always add, for the sound of a finger moving the record. But we took that all out, so it's a kind of silent tribute to him, yeah, for a couple of albums, really. Albums that I owned, actually, so I still do on vinyl. So yeah, it was a tribute to, yeah.
This film, this movie is very masculine. They say it in the movie.
Yes.
But the two female characters are the toughest one, the strongest one, the smartest one.
Yes,
and
they are.
in the end, the female character is very important. So in these 20 years, the thing that changed the most are the women.
I agree. And people don't notice that, and it's very important in the film. Just because they don't have huge parts, it doesn't mean that they aren't very, very important. And their agency is quiet but significant. So Begbie's wife, the mother of his child, is the woman who's brought that kid up to be different, so that he wouldn't follow his father down that path. And she's very, very important. And Veronica is the one who uses their tactics against them. Their dishonesty, their lack of, the fact that they will cheat on each other. She just uses that to outfox them, really, and to get the money herself. And Gail, Spud's, who again has brought up a decent young man, despite the fact that his father is a hapless wastrel, she's the one who actually thinks of a title for the whole thing in the end. She has the final line of the whole film, really, saying, I've thought of a title. So yes, they're very, very important. And obviously, Kelly MacDonald, who makes a wonderful cameo in the middle of it, has achieved enormous things in the film. You know, she's gone on to be a solicitor, and, so yeah, I think that you're right to point that out. And it's very difficult because they dominate the landscape so much, just like they dominate the poster, really. These four figures, it's about a bit of masculinity. Their bravado in the first film, which seems so effortless, they try to recreate, and everybody goes, oh, it's maybe just about that. But actually, it's quite difficult to recreate it. They don't do it that successfully because they're tiring, really. And there should be other things in their life, really, rather than the disappointed figures that they now find themselves surrounded with, children and women.
Could you tell me something about the singing scene in which Ewan McGregor and Johnny Miller sing? They both are a very good singer, but in that scene they are out of tune all the time, and it's a very funny song.
Yes, it is. I mean, we wanted it to be kind of real. It's ridiculous, but ridiculousness relies on a certain amount of realism, really. So, yeah, it feels we did it live. So it's not treated or auto-tuned afterwards. It's done live in the real club, in the real place. And Johnny's, learnt a bit of piano, but it's so yeah, it feels like it's a stumbling, chaotic, idiotic scene. But that's what it is, to sing in those kind of sectarian songs, really.
And last question, why Snapchat? Mark Renton using Snapchat, why?
I know, it's the modern world, really. There you go. We all have to keep up if we can, desperately. Clinging on with our fingernails to the modern world, but desperately trying to keep up. It's interesting, his Choose Life speech, which is very, well known from the first film, when it's just a defiant, youthful, insolent, kind of throwing back at the world its choices that they're giving him. Now it's much more desperate. It's the desperate one of an aging man who realises his life has not achieved very much. He's alone at night with night sweats, that anxiety, pressing pains in his chest. And he goes through the litany of the things that are meant to make the pain easier. All the choices that you've supposedly got now, the choice between Facebook or Snapchat, or whatever your choices are. But actually the scene is about his mother, another important woman in the film, who he has not gone back to the funeral. He's not gone back for her funeral. And that grief he feels in not having done that, he is a terrible weight on him, I think, and he can only resolve that when he meets his father at the end and bows before his father, really, to find some kind of atonement for not having returned for her funeral. The most important woman in his life, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.